Welcome to EVTN News, your source for the USCCB meeting. This is the USCCB preview episode, and we'll get to that at the end. We're going to start out today with Vigano's speech about freedom. And so he published remarks to be given at a demonstration this past Friday in Bern, Switzerland against lockdowns. And I'm going to read just a very short clip here, and the rest of the stuff that he talks about, you're gonna have to read it yourself because I can't. I can't read it for obvious reasons. He says, "Dear friends, many of you would never have thought that Switzerland would eventually follow Italy and other nations in supinely adhering to the dictates of the elite, even in the matter of the virus emergency." And this is where it's headed. So I encourage you to read it if you want to see what Vigano has to say on that. But like I said, can't say anything else about it. I'm sorry, guys. Moving on, Vatican has lost a lot of money with that London property deal. Remember that? That's been an ongoing story for quite a while, and it's causing some financial losses. The Vatican actually stands to lose 100 million euros, which is the equivalent of $115 million in the pending sale of a London property that has been the main focus of a financial scandal. And it is indeed a financial scandal because you don't lose money on a property deal very often unless the property is garbage or someone stole the money. So, yeah. Canada, another bad bishop. Bishop Ronald Fabreau of London, Ontario, has mandated the jab for all his clergy, employees, and volunteers. The directive said failure to comply with this policy could result in disciplinary action, which includes being placed on an unpaid leave of absence up to and including termination of employment for just cause. So obviously the volunteers aren't going to have any pay cuts. But we're looking at clergy here. They said clergy who refuse the jab will be removed from current duties. If possible, they will be reassigned by the bishop at his discretion to roles that do not feature public contact, and their stipend may be adjusted accordingly. So that means that he has the option, or he's saying that he's either not going to pay clergy or he's going to cut their pay because they don't get the jab. Is that ridiculous? I think so. And any priest in this situation needs to say, "Hey, bishop, you're completely out of line, and I'm going to take a sabbatical to because I'm questioning my vocation in this diocese." They could make it stronger and say, I'm going to quit the diocese, and I am asking for a sabbatical to look at religious orders it'll take me, because obviously you won't." And one of those considerations is the SSPX. And there's a lot of stuff about the SSPX today. This past week, there was a lot of information. Archbishop Acula of Denver said the SSPX is bad. So he wrote a statement here. And I'm going to just read some clips from this statement that he issued. He said, "There are some churches within the territory of the Archdiocese of Denver that appear to be or advertised as legitimate Catholic parishes, but they are in fact not in communion with the Holy Father and the Catholic Church. Below is a statement from the Archdiocese of Denver concerning these churches, as well as an updated list of known churches that fall under this category. If you or someone you know has received the sacraments at one of these churches listed below, it is likely the case that they are not valid sacraments." So if you look, there's a lot of churches listed, and a lot of them actually fall under the ecumenical church, ecumenical Catholic. That's what they call themselves. And they do believe in ideas contradictory to Catholicism in regards to contraception. And I've tried to look into some of the ideas of what these churches actually believe. I believe they're like hyper leftist. Like the Catholic Church isn't, the mainstream Catholic Church isn't far left enough for them, and so they had to create their own church, which is eventually going to be the case anyway with all the heresy going on. But I was very surprised these ecumenical Catholic churches. If you know anything about these ecumenical Catholic churches, it would be a good like research project or something to see what is actually going on. I don't imagine there's a lot of people that actually I don't know, attend these churches because most of the people that believe in that kind of stuff are atheists. So I don't know why they need a church. But anyway, he says later towards the end, he says, concerning churches that form part of the Society of St. Pius X, which is not in full communion with the Pope. While it is true that the Society's priests are validly ordained, they have not been given permission to exercise their ministry. Masses celebrated at St. Isidore and the Annunciation Chapel are not sanctioned by the Archdiocese of Denver. Catholics should neither attend these masses nor partake in communion. Yeah, they're not sanctioned, and they have not been given permission to exercise their ministry. Well, not by the local bishop, but that's sort of. And what is full communion? What does that even mean? I don't know. So here's the thing, though. What churches were open when Archbishop Acula shut down masses for the virus shutdown? Yeah. Okay, and there's a Polish Dominican who joined the Sspx. I'm going to read a little bit of what he wrote in an open letter. He said, I have been left no choice now but to turn to those who from the very beginning of the radical changes, let it be noted, that go far beyond the will of the Second Vatican Council, have defended the tradition of the Church together with the Church's respect for the requirements of reason, and who continue to pass on the unchangeable deposit of the Catholic faith to the faithful, the priestly fraternity of St. Pius X. The Sspx has shown a readiness to accept me, whilst fully respecting my Dominican identity. It is providing me not only with a life of service to God and the Church, a service not impeded by contradictions, but also with an opportunity to oppose those contradictions which are an enemy to truth and which have attacked the Church so vigorously. There is a stated controversy between the Sspx and the official structures of the Church. It is an internal dispute with the Church, and it concerns matters of great importance. The documents and decisions of the 16th of July, which is Pope's Motu Proprio, have caused my position on this subject to converge with that of the Sspx. As in the case of any important dispute, this one too must be resolved. I am determined to devote my efforts towards this end. I intend this letter to be part of this effort. The means used can only be a humble respect for the truth and gentleness, both springing from a supernatural source. Thus we can hope for the solution of the controversy and the rebuilding of unity that will embrace not only those living now, but also all generations, both past and future. And so he has a eternal perspective on things. And I think this is really significant because there are Sspx Benedictines, they already exist, and now there's Sspx Dominicans. Is he going to maybe found a religious order or what? I don't know. So let's go to Father Hunwick. Here's a clip from what Father Hunwick wrote, and some of you may follow his blog. He said, a thought too and a prayer for the Sspx who are naturally wondering if they have enough clergy and sufficient resources to meet contingencies which are already arising in some regions. What a good thing they have retained their canonical freedom so that the Bergoglians won't be able to get their greedy hands on money or property. There you go. But will the society not soon have to face up to the question of new episcopal consecrations? Is that penciled in for the start of the next pontificate? May God give them prudence and courage. How can I get an invitation? Father Hunwick wants to join the Sspx. I don't know. Do a lot of priests want to join the Sspx? We'll see, because a lot of lay people want the Sspx. And I'm sure they have a long waiting list. All right, so Pope Francis warns of judgment. What's happening? Here's the quote. He says, time is running out. This occasion must not be wasted, lest we have to face God's judgment for our failure to be faithful stewards of the world he has entrusted to our care. Francis wrote in an October 9th letter to the Glasgow Climate Conference. So Pope Francis is talking in judgment for not, I guess, for not allowing the rich people to make decisions on climate change. And those private jets, that's awesome. You know, it's great that they're flying in their private jets while us peasants, you know, we're driving our cars and they say, no, ride your bicycle. however many miles you drive to work. But don't drive your cars, but I'm going to fly in my private jet so I can talk about the climate. Makes perfect sense. Speaking of contradictions, Bishop Stowe, and where this is leading up to the USCCB meeting, and I'm saving these. I kind of ordered these in a specific order, and get this perspective in your mind. And thanks for joining me on the live stream, by the way. Glad you're with me. Bishop Stowe, in an interview, I'm going to just read a few quotes and then I'm going to be done with it because he's not worth a whole lot of time. Except whenever he speaks. Those video clips actually get a lot of views because he says things that are very contradictory to the Catholic faith consistently. So, yeah. Anyway, he said, as some U.S. bishops have correctly pointed out, there is no disagreement among the bishops about the immorality of abortion or the desire that the extinction of life in the womb not be protected as a constitutional right. But it is a complex issue for a responsible Catholic office holder who recognizes the law of the land and must survive within the dynamics of the political party, believing what the church teaches but unclear as to how that should relate to the law. That would be true for someone who supports access to legal abortion or supports capital punishment or supports the cruel exclusion of refugees and desperate migrants. All right, so he's saying, he's basically taking the stance, personally opposed, but my party says that I shouldn't, but it should be legal or something like that. And he says, well, these politicians have to survive within dynamics of their political party, so they have to say they. And when has a Catholic bishop made the statement this anti-Catholic? It's inexcusable. Bishop Stowe, I mean, I've called for his resignation. He doesn't care what I have to say. But he needs to resign. Like, he is not Catholic, and this is very obvious in this situation, because whenever you put your political party when you put the ideals of your political party over the ideals of your religion, do you really believe in that religion? No, you don't. You believe in the religion of your political party, and so that's how it is. And the religion of the Democrats is communism, and so that would make sense. Now, anyway, here's another quote, and then I'm going to be done with this rotten bishop. He says, I have always believed that the church must be political. Pope Francis talks about the politics of love and the noble profession of politics and public service. We do a disservice to our membership if we call for an apolitical church, because that would be a church that is aloof to the concerns of the human family and just the opposite of how the church is described in Gaudium et Spes. At the same time, I believe that the church should be nonpartisan. Catholic theology and even Catholic social teaching does not align neatly with any political party. And again, I agree with that, but there's one political party that is, that I guess supports all of the anti-Catholic ideals, and that's the political party that Bishop Stowe supports. So, moving on to slightly better news, Bishop Rocky denies a pro-abortion politician communion. Senator Dick Durbin, a pro-abortion Democrat, complained this week that his Catholic diocese is being fundamentally unfair by denying him communion. The Diocese of Springfield has refused to allow him to participate in the sacrament since 2004 because of his pro-abortion stance. And here's a quote from him, and you'll probably find this pretty funny. Not really, but he said, I found another Catholic venue, the Archdiocese of Chicago, a church where they were willing to let me in and allowed my wife to join me. So it's become my new faith home. And this is another instance of, there's two religions here. Two religions posturing as a Catholic faith, and only one is the actual Catholic faith. So there you go. Okay, the Pillar had a nice summary of the USCCB elections. And so I'm actually going to get into my USCCB preview right now, so buckle up. This is what we're talking about. There's elections here. You can read through it with their predictions, and I'm not gonna make my predictions. I don't. I don't have enough background to make predictions. But this is Bishop, the conference treasurer, Committee on Budget and Finance. It's between Bishop James Checchio of Metuchen and Archbishop Paul Etienne of Seattle. Now, Bishop Checchio is, I believe, he's from the McCarrick Network, and Archbishop Etienne of Seattle, I think he's a Biden bishop, and so you're not going to get a good one there. The next one is the chairman of the Committee on Divine Worship. It's between Bishop Stephen Lopes of the Anglican Ordinariate and Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky of St. Louis. Now, Archbishop Rosansky, he suggested that nurses be able to give anointing of the sick to dying people, which is not, it's contradictory to the Catholic faith. And let's see here. This sacramental intervention was ruled invalid by Rome, and this current committee that he's looking to be voted into. So the other thing is he has his archbishop position in his favor, so that's pretty disappointing. This has to do with liturgy, I think. This committee, and so Bishop Stephen Lopes of the Anglican Ordinariate, that would be an interesting choice for this committee. And then moving on, chairman of the Committee on Clergy, Consecrated Life, and Vocations is Bishop Earl Boyer of Lansing, Michigan, versus Archbishop Samuel Acula of Denver. Now, you remember Bishop Acula just talked about saying that the SSPX were bad, and Bishop Boyer, I think he's a pretty good bishop. I'd like to see him get elected, but it's probably going to go to the Archbishop. I guess that is going to be my prediction. I don't know, but take my predictions with a grain of salt. I mean, Bishop Boyer, getting his name in there is a good thing for him. So hopefully, he seems to be friendly towards the Latin Mass. He's solid on pro-life. He's one of those under the radar bishops that seems pretty good. So keep an eye out for him. He might have something to say later on. Chairman for the Committee on Domestic Justice and Human Development, it's Archbishop Boris Gudziak of the Ukrainian Arch-Eparchy of Philadelphia versus Bishop Paprocki of Springfield, Illinois. Now, obviously, Paprocki is one of the top bishops, one of the best bishops. I don't want to say one of the top, but one of the best bishops in the USCCB. But Ukrainian bishop, I have no idea. So, and I think this is like the social justice kind of stuff, garbage. I mean, who cares, But I don't know. It could be good either way, I think. And then the chairman, I don't know anything about this Archbishop of the Ukrainian Catholic Arch-Eparchy of Philadelphia. I don't know anything about him, so I want to take that back. We'll see what happens on that. I have to do a little more research to say, oh, he's a good one, because even the Byzantines, you can't say 100% of them are great, I don't know. Chairman of Committee on Laity, Marriage, Family Life, and Youth, it's Bishop Robert Barron versus Bishop Edward Burns of Dallas. And this will be really interesting. I think Barron's probably going to get it. We'll see. And then I think is this the last one? I don't know. Chairman of the Committee on Migration, it's Bishop Mark Seitz of El Paso, Texas versus Archbishop Thomas Wenski of Miami. Now, Wenski is a biker bishop. He rides a motorcycle. And Bishop Seitz, he's pretty sketchy on the Catholic faith. Basically, immigration is what he talks about all the time. And it's actually pretty sad. But because that's his focus, I don't know. Do you think he'll get elected? I don't know. That'd be pretty sad, because that's a big moneymaker for the USCCB. So now Archbishop Wenski, I think he does stand for a lot of issues in favor of Catholicism, but he's also um, he's on the board of directors of Clinic Catholic Legal Immigration Network, which was received Soros money. So um, this is what we're looking at. All right, so moving on. Let me get back to where we were at here. So that's the USCCB elections. Now we're going to actually do the full USCCB preview. When the U.S. Catholic bishops gather in Baltimore, November 15th through 18th for their annual fall meeting, it will be their first in-person assembly since November 2019. I believe they'll have all of these on. And it's probably going to be annoying, especially for the ones who are annoyed by that stuff. The first day of the assembly, and this is from Catholic News Agency, the first day of the assembly on Monday is entirely closed to the media as an executive session, something that is typically reserved for the last day. The expectation is for a frank exchange on the Eucharistic coherence document, which is expected to pass in the end, but perhaps not before some spirited exchanges. All right, so what I'm seeing here, usually I can get video clips from the USCCB meetings. Monday is going to be closed, entirely closed to the media. So does that mean is it going to be live streamed? I don't think it will. And if that's the case, I'm not going to be doing anything until Tuesday. I'm not going to be posting any USCCB videos until Tuesday unless some of the news leaks out of arguments, disputes. And this is where things are going to get interesting because, as they said, Eucharistic coherence document. Several bishops said, look, Joe Biden, his stance on abortion is completely against the Catholic faith, which is the Catholic idea. So these bishops, they can call themselves Catholic. Good job. There were other bishops who said, oh, no, we shouldn't deny Biden communion. Oh. And those bishops would be anti-Catholic. Very, very obvious. But you look at the ones who are the most upfront and hateful, really. Bishop McElroy, Bishop Stowe, they're not afraid to express their opposition to the Catholic faith in a very angry and direct way. And Sspx is just, no, I mean, I don't know. Are there any bishops that really like him? I don't know. But yeah, Sspx, he tries to throw a wrench into things as much as he can. So I expect him to kind of hijack the discussions that are going on. That wouldn't be a surprise to me. So we'll see. And it really depends on if they have a live video feed. Again, I don't know. And it looks like it's not likely to happen. Another thing, there are other things to talk about at this meeting too. I mean, it might turn into an argument about denying pro-abortion politicians communion. I mean, that might be and probably will be the focus of it. But there also could be the Latin Mass situation. I would imagine that's not going to take as much precedence, as much priority as the Biden debate. And then Archbishop Gomez recently had some comments about social justice movements, how he called them different religions. And I said, this is what I've been saying. Good job, Archbishop Gomez. So maybe maybe some of the far left bishops will take some opportunities to criticize Archbishop Gomez. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of fight from the good guys. So this definitely seems like it could be very bad for us Catholics. Another kind of a negative note is that Bishop Thomas Tobin will not be there per his Twitter post. He has stood. Now, I don't know that he's really spoken. I don't remember him speaking much, if at all, at any of the USCCB meetings, but on Twitter, he posts a lot of pro-life stuff. And so if you're looking for pro-life bishops, we're down one. So that's disappointing. Church Militant has organized a prayer rally on Tuesday, November 16th, calling the bishops to repentance for cover-ups and other offenses at the nearby MECU pavilion. And the USCCB meeting agenda, I'm just going to read a little bit of this. It's expected to include discussion and votes on a number of items, including a Eucharistic revival initiative and approval of a National Eucharistic Congress in 2024. Oh, what good's that going to do? Is that going to help the next election to get a president who doesn't pretend to be Catholic and support abortion? I mean, our standards are pretty low, aren't they? An update of the socially responsible investment guidelines, a statement on the Eucharist, the mystery of the Eucharist and the life of the Church, and other items that will be presented and discussed include the 2021 to 2023 Synod of Bishops, the work of Catholic Relief Services, Catholic Charities USA, and Catholic Legal Immigration Network, which, as I said, received Soros money. The 50th anniversary of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, completely rotten, taken over by awful Jesuit nonprofits. The Journeying Together Intercultural Dialogue and Encounter Process. I didn't look into that, but it sounds very bad. The application and implementation of Pastoral Framework for Marriage and Family Life Ministry in the United States and the Walking with Moms in Need initiative. So there's going to be a lot of votes, it looks like. Not a lot of public speeches. So actually, I'm not sure how many videos I'm actually going to post on this. It could be, now I'm just now realizing this could be a lot less video coverage than I'm normally accustomed to. And let's go back to the Synod of Bishops. That's going to be a big thing too, because I don't know if this will be discussed in the private session, the one closed to the media, or what. And I'm going to have to read through this just to make sure that I'm not missing anything with like the executive session. So I don't know if it just means the media is not going to be there. I really hope there's some video footage, because otherwise I could post a video tomorrow about like what came out, if there were any rumors that were leaked out, because I think the Pillar has some inside information. Like they have an insider. People suspect it's Archbishop Chaput, and I don't know. I mean, retired bishops are invited to the USCCB meetings, and some of them actually end up speaking there too. So some of these media entities could certainly have leaked information, and they could post that leaked information of the discussion if there is no video footage. And so if that's the case, I'll post a video tomorrow discussing that. If there is video footage, I can take some video clips. But otherwise, tomorrow is going to be, I'm not going to have anything to do tomorrow if there's no video clips, because I'm not going to have any information, any video clips to share with you. So this is the USCCB meeting, and I wasn't able to find a copy of the agenda. It would have been nice. And maybe I will find it later to see which parts I need to pay more attention to and which I need to pay less attention to. The elections, I'm not going to cover that at all. I mean, well, I want to say I'm not going to post video clips of that at all. Those are generally boring and you find out after the fact anyway, so no big deal with that. But the speeches are going to be the most interesting, the most compelling. And what the problem is that a lot of these bishops like Strickland end up getting caught in the weeds. So they go down a path and they try to say like, oh, well, pro-life is really nice and all this stuff, but they don't call anyone out. And if you're not going to call anyone out, then your speeches are basically going to fall on deaf ears and they're just going to tune you out. And I think we saw that a few meetings ago when Bishop Strickland and Paprocki, they were defending the legacy of Pope John Paul II right after the McCarrick report was released. And it's like, well, why don't you go after your fellow bishops for, like, Cardinal Tobin literally said a pride mass. Bishop Stowe promotes pride. Cardinal Sspx and many others, allow James Martin in their diocese. And so, if that's the case, you really need to name names. No one wants to do that, but when you see people like McElroy and Stowe who are attacking you, you gotta fight back. I mean, come on, this is a fight. These people don't belong. Some of these bishops don't belong to the same religion as the other bishops. That's plain and simple. And so we need to fight back against these bishops who are not promoting the Catholic faith. They're promoting many things contradictory to the Catholic faith, and they need called out for it. I don't see any bishops with the guts to call out their fellow bishops. Someone like Archbishop Cordileone is probably going to get called out by Sspx or McElroy or one of them. And Cordileone's been kind of teetering on the edge. He's saying, well, Pope Francis supports pro life. There's no way that he would have told Biden to continue to receive communion. And I'm like, have you been paying attention the last 8 years, Archbishop Cordileone? Or are you putting your hands in your ears and saying, there's nothing wrong, and not paying attention to anything that's been happening? Because I have a feeling that a lot of these bishops are kind of like that. I want to say naive in a certain sense. That's just how I see it. Cordileone is one of the top bishops standing up for pro-life online. I mean, in interviews. But even then, Archbishop Cordileone retweeted an article by Bishop Stowe, and he didn't criticize him. And so that's the red flag for me. That nothing. I don't want to say nothing good. I want to say that I'm concerned what's going to come out of this, because I think the bishops that have a strong pro-life stance, they're gonna I think they're gonna be kind of trampled on by the bad guys. And Pope Francis already trampled on them. He said, I don't deny communion to anyone, and we shouldn't deny communion. So I think that they're going to be demoralized, and I don't think that they're going to have a lot of support there, because the pro-life bishops are not very vocal. Now, if you get one to stand up, you can get another one to stand up, and then everyone. I mean, it's overwhelming support. There was overwhelming support for this Eucharistic document. There's only the few crazy leftists that voted against it. And so, I mean, there's support in favor of the Catholic faith, and in favor of the basic fundamentals of the Catholic faith. I mean, if you oppose the basic fundamentals, you shouldn't be a bishop, but that's not for me. That's not for me to decide. If I could decide that, then a lot of them would be gone, and they'd be replaced by people who actually support the Catholic faith. Not up to me. And the bishops that actually have a voice, they have that their voice actually has an impact. They're not going to speak up. I don't expect it to happen. Bishop Strickland, he's going to say something in favor of pro-life, and that's fine. He's not going to call anyone out. People might call him out, and if they do, how's he going to respond? I don't know. And I'd like to see these discussions. I'd like to hear about these discussions, so it'll be intriguing. But it's also, I mean, prepare for a lot of nothing, and that's it. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. And actually, let me get to the live chat here, see if there's any good comments. Okay. Oh yeah, I listen. Okay, so Slow Roasted Marshmallow. I listened to a show called Flashes of Insight, which talked to a bishop and some professor in Australia. I heard some mumbo jumbo of the walking together sort. Have a barf bag ready. Yeah, that's what you're going to hear a lot about synodality. Thank you, Mimi. God bless you too. Has Brandon's friend in the Vatican really banned TLM Triduum masses in Rome? Time to create a crowd and push back, as Maxine Waters suggests. Yeah, well, and this is that's what I mentioned the Latin Mass. I don't think there's going to be a lot of discussion of that, because I think the topic of Eucharistic coherence is going to receive a lot of attention at the USCCB meeting. And I don't even know that Gomez's comments are going to receive much attention, just because this is going to be the overwhelming topic. And then they also need to get to other topics. They need to approve certain things. They need to investigate the cause for certain canonizations. And they have a lot of things on this agenda. And it's not enough Now, and also what I want to say with the elections is that I think the elections, there's, I don't know how much of an impact it's really going to have. Because even if you get a good bishop in these roles, what's it really going to do? Like, do you know who the committee chairs are on any of the USCCB committees? And so does it really matter? I don't know. That's the question. Now, if Bishop Barron gets in, he's going to be dominating a lot of the conversation about these things. He'll probably give a presentation in every single USCCB meeting as long as he's the committee chair. And that's going to be significant. But the rest of them, I don't know. Um, it's just a big question mark there. That's why I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the elections. It's really, I think a lot of it's for show. Because do you read any of the documents have you read any of the documents that the USCCB has ever released? I might have read through, I might have leafed through maybe a few of them. Um, I don't remember actually, so I don't know. But that's why these USCCB meetings, there's often not a whole lot accomplished, and that's why I want some strong statements to come out of this. So from the bad guys, I want heretical statements from them so that we can say heresy. Um, and then for the good guys, I want some strong statements to come from them, and sometimes there are, but a lot of times there aren't. I'm never really optimistic for the USCCB meetings, but I do browse through, see what I can find, post video clips for you, get you the comprehensive USCCB coverage that you want. And maybe you don't want it, but you're going to get it anyway on this channel because that's how I built up this channel and that's what I'm going to keep doing. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been EVTN News. We are the laity and we will not be silent.